work with vaccinations.
Okay.
And Del Bigtree speaks all over about that too. So
I probably have heard it, but
you've definitely, yeah. He has a program called The High Wire. It's you have to learn. Yeah, he has a radio show called The High Wire, and they talk about vaccinations. Podcast, but also he has streams it live on the internet. Yeah. So thoughts, traumas, and toxins, the 3 T's, are the 3 things that cause all sickness and disease and breakdown in the body. If you name a disease or a condition, it's related to thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Surely.
And I have been saying to my sister, because she's, and for myself actually, here a few years ago, it seemed like I was always mad. I was mad at the world.
Yeah.
And she's been that way for years, and she's got things going on. Like, you can't do that.
You can't. And I'll show you why. Because I have 3 case studies of 3 patients. And I've actually never showed anyone my x-rays. I'm going to show them to you. Have you ever seen my x-rays?
No. For yourself?
You've seen my x-rays?
I have not.
You haven't seen you're going to see my neck x-ray.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to show you that. And I don't brag about much of anything in my life except my chiropractor, because she does a good job for me. Okay. So thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So I'm going to talk about 3 case studies, and I'm going to show you pictures of x-rays of people who have thoughts, traumas, and toxins affecting their life. So interestingly enough, I decided to teach this class differently this time. When we think about someone who is stressed out, so that would be an example of thoughts, or someone who's angry at the world or themselves or someone else, or has emotional instability and unable to seek forgiveness. We can go on and on and on. When someone is stuck into that mentality, it actually physiologically breaks down their physical body. I'm going to show you what happens on x-ray. Toxins are equally as damaging. We get toxins from the air that we breathe, from the food that we eat, from the stuff that we put on our skin, from the water that we drink. All of us are constantly being bombarded with toxins. And I'm going to show you an example of someone who had virtually very little trauma in her life, but was exposed to lots of toxins. I'm going to show you what her x-rays look like. Okay? And then the third thing, of course, is trauma. And everyone can relate and understand. I'm going to show you a picture of a younger gal who was in a car accident and had a whiplash injury, and what that does to your spine. Now,
my sister, she's probably been rear-ended 3 or 4 times and had whiplash out 2 or 3 of them at least.
And I'm going to show you what happens. And I want you to understand that those 3 things, thoughts, traumas, and toxins, they rob us from our life. They break us down. They degenerate our nervous system. They create physical challenges and barriers. And they don't allow us to express ourselves the way that we're designed to. So if we can eliminate those things, we can be off to a better start. My wife and I, we've traveled to a lot of third world countries, and we've done mission work. In that line of work, it's not really a joke, but we joke about this and we say it's the 10-to-1 rule, which means when we go to a third world country where there is virtually, a lot less toxic stress, people get better 10 times faster than they do in the United States.
And they eat their food.
Correct. So when we travel, we could be in a third world country, very, what we would say, low health standards, but we look at the way and we study the way these people live, and they're living longer than us, they're healthier than us, they don't have obesity, and they don't have the diseases and breakdown, and they don't have the vaccines that we have, and they don't have all the stuff that we have. So actually, they're healthier.
Well, and I've noticed about some of those specials they have about third world countries too. Also, that when they smile, they got pearly white teeth. And most of them, unless they're, way old, they've got all their teeth.
Yeah, there's actually a dentist who traveled over to Africa, and he was in the jungle. He was studying different tribes. And it's a well-documented book. I can't remember what it's called, but he was doing that. He was studying oral health of these different tribes. And he said, no, none of these people would need braces by my standards. He said, they all have perfectly straight white teeth. And of course, because of what they're eating, they're not eating carbohydrates. They're not eating simple carbs that is causing degeneration. But also, he said, they're not exposed to toxins. And he said the multiple generations of toxic stress is a major cause of tooth alignment.
Yeah, and mechanics, almost everybody, when I was growing up, boyfriends, friends of friends, they were all mechanics.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of them have lost their teeth. They're having bad teeth.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So don't get me started on dentistry. I'll talk to you for hours and hours and hours. So let's get right into this. I want to show you these x-rays. So why do thoughts create neurological stress? Why do you think?
Causes a fight and flight response.
You're the genius. You're exactly right. It puts our body, I never would have guessed that. I never would have thought that you would have got that right. Most of the time, nobody gets that correct. So bravo to you. It puts your body in a state of fight or flight. And when your body stays in a state of fight or flight, it releases certain chemicals, stress hormones. Okay? And when your body releases those hormones for an extended period of time, it increases your heart rate, it increases your glucose levels, it increases your reaction speed to vasodilate your blood vessels. Okay? It constricts your blood vessels. It does a series and cascading events that create maximum overload and stress on your system. And that fight or flight that people are stuck in, then in the long term creates physical trauma and stress to the spine. It causes spinal degeneration. It's like a repetitive, vicious cycle. So someone who's in a chronic state of stress, we know what their posture looks like. They're never upright and relaxed. They're always tense and tight, slouched forward, stuck in this just anxiety state. Go, 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 go.
Jump.
You got it. Because the body wants you to be ready to run when you're in fight or flight stress state.
And sometimes I think that's why I'm so jumpy. People
It's possible.
scare me easy.
It's possible.
Because most of the time I seem to be deep in thought about something I should have done, could have done, would have done, need to do.
It's the fight or flight response. Yeah. And it is all because of our thinking. Okay. The second thing is toxic stress and toxic overload. When our body is in an environment or has chemical or toxins put in it, do you think that puts you in a state of fight or flight? Absolutely. Because it's telling your system, we got to get out of here. We're stuck in this sick environment and we're getting bombarded with all this stuff. So here's an example. Every day you wake up and you put on your deodorant that contains aluminum and all these other chemicals and you put it on, it instantly puts your body in a state of fight or flight.
And it takes about 20 seconds after you put whatever you put on your skin for it to absorb.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So whatever we're getting from our system and our environment is absolutely responsible for calming us and relaxing us or keeping us in a state of fight or flight or stress. If it puts you in fight or flight, it releases those chemicals and those hormones, which then goes right back into that vicious cycle, creates physical stress on the system, which creates degeneration of the spine, which creates neurological degeneration and breakdown. Okay? You don't have to be a scientist or doctor to figure this out. You just have to know how the body works.
Or listen to yourself.
Exactly.
But see, that's my problem over the years, is I haven't always listened to myself.
We all go through periods of time like that. Don't worry, you're not on your own with that one. The third thing is trauma. Okay, I'm going to show you a whiplash patient. Trauma to the structure of the body, specifically the spine, puts neurological damage, debilitating forces onto the spinal column, which in time, if those forces stay there, they shut down your system. I absolutely think that it's criminal that most doctors don't refer to chiropractors. That's my personal belief because I know an awful lot about how sick it makes you if you have subluxations or nerve stress.
But don't they still, don't they kind of compare chiropractors to the holistic side of healing? Because they don't want anybody to be well. They don't want anybody to get well.
Of course.
So if they know any inkling about what you do,
probably
they want them to stay over there.
I already know you're going to get me way off topic forever as long as I know you. The worst thing that happened is people, and this is by design. This isn't our own innate thought process. The worst thing that happened for healthcare is we started adopting and using the word alternative healthcare. Trust me when I say this, there's nothing alternative about getting adjusted, having acupuncture, eating healthy, using naturopathic doctors, getting a massage. There's nothing alternative about that. That should be number one.
But they probably gave you that name.
You're right. But then when they gave us that name, then you, and maybe not you, but everyone else then accepted, oh, that's alternative.
Yeah.
No, that's mainstream. This is the way the body was designed. That's how we should get health care. That should be health care. The first word is health. The second word is care. So if you're not in an environment where you're getting health and care, then it's not health care. That model, the other model, is actually sickness care. But nobody wants to be in sickness care. People want to be in health care. So that's the worst thing that happened to real health, is that the stuff that should be primary got labeled as alternative. And insurance companies don't pay for alternative because the insurance companies are in bed with the hospitals and they're all part of the same system.
Bought off by the pharmaceutical company.
So, yes, they think of us as alternative. And no, we're not alternative. We're primary because this is how the body's designed to be well. Agreed? Medicine didn't show up until 100 years ago. Before that, we were still eating herbs and chewing on bark if we needed to.
You can thank Rockefeller and his company for that.
You're bad news for me. You're going to get me in trouble. I know you. You're just like me. Okay, so here we go. What I'm going to show you right now is a picture of a normal spine. Okay? Here's a normal looking spine. And I don't know if you know this or not, but there is supposed to be a forward slope in the neck. That forward curve is referred to as the arc of life. Doesn't mean that this person doesn't have thoughts, traumas, and toxins and stress in their life. It means that neurologically, their body is flowing the way it was designed. That curve right there is termed by neurologists, not alternative, mainstream arc of life, right? And that curve should be around 30 degrees. That curve is critical because, Deanna, right, it's our shock absorber.
Absolutely.
It allows us to work in gravity and be healthy and well.
If you get bumped on heads, give you a little give.
It gives you a little give, right?
Yeah,
Give. So it's important to see that that is a normal looking curve because now I'm going to show you 3 different patients. Number 1, let's start with our whiplash patient. This is a 23, I think, year old. This is one of my standard film x-rays. Early 20s, male, auto accident. So this is not an old, this is a young guy. Auto accident. What do you notice, Thea? What's the difference between that first one and this one?
Bones in his neck are right up underneath his jaw.
His
almost.
curve is going the opposite direction. So when I was having a consultation with this guy, I asked him, I said, have you had any traumas in your life? What do you think he said?
Oh, boy, he told you about his
No, he said, no, not really. And I said, oh, okay, because he was getting headaches. I said, not really. Dig a little deeper. Have you had any car accidents? Yeah, but nothing major. Okay, how many car accidents? So I had one car accident about 1.5 years ago. It wasn't major though, doc. It was only like 10 miles per hour. And as soon as he said that, I knew I'm going to see this on x-ray. Because Yale University did a study and they found that if the car is traveling 8.2 miles per hour, 8.2 or more damage happens to the occupant in the car than the car itself. 8.2. And the reason is because of the laws of physics. We got a 4,000-pound vehicle here. You might be at a red light or stop sign stopped, and that 4,000-pound car hits you, and what's not attached to the vehicle? You. So all of the energy from the propellant car goes into your body. So it happened right here. So I knew exactly when this problem started and what I was going to see. Okay? So young guy, whiplash injury. How many doctors do you think he went to?
Well, probably until he got to you. Or
Yeah,
whoever.
3 doctors before he showed up here. How many of them asked him to look into his nervous system? You know the answer. 0. None of them thought that it would be a good idea to have his nervous system checked.
But they gave him Vicodin though.
They gave him muscle relaxers and all kinds of stuff. You see where this is going?
Yeah.
So this is a perfect example of someone who has had significant trauma. They didn't even acknowledge that it was serious. 10 miles per hour car accident, and look what it did to his spine. See where I'm going with this? That's an example of trauma and how that affects the nervous system. Next. Okay, this picture was just taken the other day. Make sure this one. This patient came in just having lots of problems. Okay, I do my normal thing. Have you had any traumas or accidents? Nope. None? Nope. Never in a car accident. Never played any major sports. Never had any significant trauma that really came to mind. I'm thinking, okay. So I'm asking her, tell me more about yourself. Tell me more about yourself. She's going on and on and on. I find out very depressed. High levels of depression. How long have you been depressed for? Most of my life. Okay? Most of my life I've been depressed. So thoughts. That's what comes in my head. Which one is it? Is it thoughts, traumas, or toxins? She's thoughts. She's had emotional distress and depression her whole life and anxiety. What can you guys tell me on this one?
She's not in good shape.
Why not?
The curve is all wrong.
The curve is all wrong. You don't know what's wrong, but it's all wrong, right? It doesn't look like it's supposed to. So her curve goes the opposite direction, and then it comes forward, and it looks really good until right there, and then it goes back this way. We call that an S curve.
So when you look at a X-ray like that, do you start at the top and go down, or do you start at the bottom and go
Well, it doesn't matter for these purposes. Just know that that's supposed to be shaped like a C.
C, yeah.
Yeah, like that. She's going back the opposite direction. I pulled out the nerve chart and I said, let me just explain to you where those nerves go. We started up here at the top and worked our way down. This one right here controls the brainstem, controls blood supply to your head. Do you think it would be a good idea, or do you think you might have some distressful thoughts if you don't have good blood supply to your head? Yes, absolutely. Your sinuses. So do you ever have sinus problems? Yeah, I've had sinus problems my whole life. Well, these nerves are getting shut down. This C3 right here controls all the face anatomy. Again, blood supply to the head, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and throat. Okay, so we start dissecting this. This is a patient who didn't have trauma. I see patients who do have trauma. Didn't have trauma. Been struggling with depression her whole life. Look what it did to her physical body. It's from that chemical fight or flight reaction. Okay, how tight do you think her neck muscles were?
Oh my God.
Like a rock. Because her body's trying to support and protect her spine.
I bet you I've got that going on.
You might, but you might not. We won't know unless we take a look.
Well, we will in about a month. I hope.
Okay, here's the next one. So, another patient of mine. Which one didn't we talk about? Thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Okay. This is from a while ago. I went through archives and dug this one out. Late 30s, male. Not too much trauma. Pretty good, not much depression or bad thoughts or anything like that. But worked in a chemical plant. Like nasty chemicals. Okay, he said some of the chemicals that we handled are known chemicals that cause cancer. I said, how long do you work there? 6 years. Younger guy, late 30s. Took an x-ray of his spine. He's got multiple levels of degeneration. How much curve does he have, Thea? 0 curve in his neck. His head's way out in front of him. This is a good example of someone who is bombarded with toxic overload. As we started working, he's no longer a patient because he moved. As we started working, he pulled me aside and he said, Doc, I have problems. My wife and I have been trying to get pregnant, and it's me, it's not her. And he said, do you think that this could be related? I said, no, I don't think it could be related. I know it's related. What we don't know is how much toxic accumulation you have in your system, but we do know that you also have neurological distress. If we can clean the toxins out and we can get your nerves working better, you might stand a chance. We can clean the toxins out and ignore the nerves, and you might not stand a chance. Right? Because the body is still not working properly. Kind of a sad case. But also, look at his mouth. Who knows what those are?
Cavities,
Those are amalgam fillings.
Yeah.
And he had a mouthful of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. He had like 10 mercury fillings in his mouth. And I said, here's the deal, bud. We need to get you cleaned up. We need to get the toxins out, and you need to get those out too. Those are affecting that. I don't think it, I know it. And trust me when I say this, there's not many places you can go and hear that truth. I tell people because I know it's true.
So implants, not a good idea.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, well, I made that mistake.
I have one too. You can't blame yourself for something you didn't know.
Well, I've got 3.
You can't blame yourself for something you didn't know, because that's going to create thought patterns that are going to cause more problems, right?
Yes.
Forgiveness.
I've been thinking that almost from
Forgiveness.
the day that I got the 3 of them. Which is weird. After I got them in there, I thought, oh, this might not have been a good idea. And it just popped in my head like a little bubble.
They're all reminders. The older we get, sometimes,
Well,
we start piecing things
slow
together.
on learning things in the first place. Things I should have learned 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Me too. We're a lot like each other. I wish I could go back and change time.
Well, you're way a lot younger than me.
And you know what? The younger generation is sicker today than they were when you were born. So it's the younger generation that needs to learn and get educated, okay?
But they don't want to learn. They still think they're...
Yeah. Times are changing. Times are changing. We have to do something different. Okay, so we have to start listening to our elders and the people who came before us, right? We have to start looking for other answers, because our healthcare system isn't making us healthier all the time. It's saving our lives sometimes, but it's also challenging us.
Seems like for me, I knew more when I was younger about what was going on with me and my health and stuff like that. And then when I started getting a little older and I had kids and my life just went wherever it went, I didn't know anything anymore. And then all of a sudden, here a few years ago, it was like, bing, the light came on. And
Light bulb. Good. Good. That's your wake-up call.
I wasted all that time from the time I was like
25,
28 years old till 60.
You can't go back in time. You can't go back in time.
I wish I could.
And that's why when you know something that other people don't know, you got to tell them.
I try.
I tell people every day, say, if I'm telling you
I
something,
wonder what she's going to tell us today.
if I'm telling you something that you didn't know and it changes your life, you got to tell someone else. Okay? So you're the first patient I've ever showed my neck x-ray to. So this is my neck x-ray. It was taken 2 days ago.
Oh.
Looks pretty good. I don't brag about much. I don't brag about many pictures of myself, but that's probably the best picture of myself. Right? So here's what I'm going to end on. I have lots of toxins in my body, just as many as most of you. I have thought challenges, emotional stressors and traumas, just like all of you do. And I have physical traumas in my past. I've been in some terrible auto accidents. And the difference is that I always had a good chiropractor. I mean, I found chiropractic when I was 16. I didn't have my first car accident until I was 17.
Oof. Now you sound like my grandson.
And then my third, my fourth, okay? So the difference is that no one is immune to the challenges or the stressors of thoughts, traumas, and toxins. We all have them. They're always with us. It's the people who can empty their cup and keep it from overflowing that are going to stay the healthiest. And it always has to include chiropractic. It's not my belief. It's not me preaching. It's just, it has to include the nervous system. Because we can't be healthy and well if we don't have a functioning nervous system. It's just the reality. It's just the truth. Right? A truth is a truth. How much of the time? 100% of the time. So I'm going to end on this. I have a patient who's been with me for 4 years. She's been begging her husband to come in here and get adjusted. And for 4 years, he said over and over again, I don't believe in chiropractic. So your wife comes in here and gets adjusted on a weekly basis for 4 years. Her life is changed. He still does not believe in chiropractic. And I said, look, it's not whether or not you believe in it. It's whether or not you choose to accept the reality. So there's nothing not to believe in with chiropractic. It's true. It works. It's real. We've been the only profession that has outlasted the American Medical Association. We're the only profession that has stood the test of time against the AMA. 150 years we've been fighting for what's right. And it's still right. Chiropractic is necessary. It is important. And it has to be a part of our healthcare regimen. Okay? So eliminating thoughts, traumas, and toxins is the way to be healthy. It's the reason it's the culprit for breakdown and degeneration and disease. You've been to 2 of my classes now. You got to meet Dr. Ashley and you got to meet me. Mm-hmm. You got to bless our new space. Yes. Thanks for being here. Yes. And I hope you come back.
Oh, I'll be back.
Perfect.
Eventually I'll probably be a permanent.
Today is